2020. We're now joined by the new football coach at Midway High School. Joe Gillespie joins us. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak on 365 Sports. So you had a chance to get a look at some of the players of your future. You've met people. Everyone was there for the press conference. It was a great crowd. What has your day been like, and are you going to get some really good sleep tonight?
Well, number one, guys, thank you for having me on. And I can't tell you how excited me and my family are to get here. And, you know, the unfortunate thing is my wife and I are about to become empty nesters. So we're not really, everything's going to be brand new for us. And so this is going to be a blast. We can't be more blessed. And man, what a wonderful school district program and a storied program with a lot of tradition. And so we're extremely excited. But, hey, it's been a wild day. The fortunate thing is I got to see all the kids. I got to meet, you know, all the kids. I've had a ton of names out there and a bunch of kids that I've been anxious to sit there and get eyes on and introduce myself to them. And it's been something that I've been praying for, you know, me and my family, and just lead us in the right direction, take us to where we can go and pour into young people. And you know, the good Lord's always blessed us and gave us this opportunity here. So very grateful.
You had a great run at Stephenville, assistant coach and head coach, Tulsa, then TCU. Not so much the reaction of what others have said to you around the district, or even when I saw you today. What have other coaches around the state of Texas said to you about this job at Midway?
Well, I think number one, you know, from a personal standpoint, they've been very gracious and just, you know, pretty much welcome back to your roots and getting back to where it all started for us and really where we poured, you know, 21 of my 30 years of experience into Texas high school football and education and all sorts of boys and girls sports and everything. And so, and then, you know, the other one is obviously from a program standpoint, just like I said a while ago, Midway is a storied program, but rich in tradition, rich in success, rich with great kids, great support, unbelievable community, great facilities. You know, in our book, this was a no-brainer. And I thought that this was one of the top jobs in the state of Texas when I was at Stephenville. And I thought, you know, obviously there's some programs out there that are great places. And I always thought, you know, outside of where I was, and I'm always 10 toes down wherever I'm at and doing what I'm doing. But I always thought that, hey, there's an elite few places that are out there in the state of Texas, and Waco Midway being one of them, that really has the perfect concoction, all the potion and everything to make for year to year, year after year, great program, and have the opportunity for a lot of success.
Coach, a lot of people will wonder, you know, why the shift back to high school from the college ranks. Was this obviously, you know, being a high school coach is a calling, maybe a little bit different than coaching at other levels. What was it that called you back to high school?
Well, I think number one, there was never, and I'm going to tell you, I've coached at both levels, and there's never been a bad day. There really hasn't. And you know, just being around young people and getting to pour into them. Football is football. I don't care what arena that you're in or what level that you're at. It's still football. And, you know, to be honest with you, my pops was a football coach and at the college level. And I knew for a long time that I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I just saw you know, what type of dude he was and the impact that he had on people and, you know, beyond football. And, but still being extremely competitive. And so I knew that's what I wanted to do. And then, you know, fortunately I had some great coaches when I went through junior high and high school. And I knew then that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to go for myself into that. I really had no desires. I had some opportunities very, very early in my career. And then, a few years later, I had some other opportunities to go collegiately. And I didn't want to do it. You know, my wife and I at the time were starting to have kids. I didn't want to bounce kids all over the place and things of that nature. When the opportunity came in January of 15, Philip Montgomery had just gotten a head coaching job at the University of Tulsa. Of course, Philip and I had coached together at Stephenville in the latter part of the 90s, and both the same age and, you know, going through the same stuff, having kids. And that business. I just knew the man that I was going to get to coach with, and I just thought if I ever wanted to do this, and our oldest was graduating from high school at the time. Our daughter was a junior in high school, which made it a little bit tough. And then our youngest was in the third grade at the time. I just said, if I'm ever going to do this, this might be the best opportunity. So I did, with the thought process of, hey, if this doesn't work out for me, I'm not going to bounce my youngest son all over the place. But I want to go see if I can do this. And it was a new challenge, and I wanted to see if I could do this and have some success at it. Philip was unbelievable to me. And loved my 7 years there with him and with that university. And then it just, it started to grow. I became the coordinator there. We had some success and then got the opportunity at TCU. But when this came, it was just too good for us. And I always told my wife, I will not finish at the college level. I'll finish at the high school and in Texas, because that's where we had the most impact on young people. And so I couldn't have drawn it up any better. I don't know why the good Lord keeps blessing us, but he does, and I'm very grateful, thankful for it.
Coach, you explained your thoughts very well there, and your passion for high school football is evident. I do have to ask you, though, because you have recently experienced it. We see so many coaches talking about this grind at the college level, and it's never ending, and the portal and NIL and all those different things. Having a front row seat for that the last few years, how much of a grind and a wear and tear has that become?
It has. I mean, it's, in this profession is a grind and wear and tear. I don't care what level it is. And it depends on how much you're going to pour into it, and I just think for me, some of the purity of the game was leaving itself, and I was missing the pureness of it all. And, it was pure when I got to it. And then, for some reason it's changing some courses and stuff like that. It's not for everybody. And, we did it and had I don't want to ever say anything bad about it, because the experience was phenomenal. And, but it's something it's 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, 370 days a year.
Joe, I was there when you were introduced, and I also have spoken with you before, back when you even mentioned Stephenville and Midway used to be in the same district, and then that 2011 game where they went on to play for a state title against Baker Mayfield in that battering ram of Lake Travis. They have been through a difficult stretch, COVID, and then 21 and 22. They're part of the district that they were in with Duncanville, DeSoto, realignment coming up Thursday. But you saw what they did last year. You kind of have a history of what they went through and how they survived with Ezra Martinez and Chad President. What did you learn about the football team and down deep inside their soul?
Well, I think, obviously Ezra and Coach President, Coach Martinez, and the rest of the staff did an unbelievable job of having to take over at midseason and had been to a grind somewhat. And for whatever reason, don't care, but for whatever reason, we're struggling a little bit. And then to do what they did and to turn things around, man, it says a lot about those coaches. It says an unbelievable amount about the kids and what you have here. And so that's why I say the tradition is still very rich and it's still very hot and alive and well. We just got to get it running at a consistent pace and then having these kids continue to believe above and beyond. And so this is a great place for it. But what they were able to do, I think it obviously it sits there and it shows you the amount of grit and determination and togetherness, brotherhood, belief, respect. Obviously, it shows guys like Ezra Martinez and how much those guys respect the heck out of him, and obviously he's doing this for the right reasons, because they respect him, and kids play hard for him, and I look forward to getting to do this with him, being on the staff with him.
Coach Clayton was also a part of it, the defensive coordinator, but you brought in your own, and also there's also somebody else you're going to bring in on staff that's part of the transition. So Coach Creech, is that right, is coming to be your defensive coordinator? If you already added a couple of guys?
Yes, sir. So Coach Creech is currently here right now, immediate immediately with us. Obviously, we're going to have to go out and get us an offensive coordinator. Got several guys in mind and wisdom with really kind of keeping everything on the down low until everything just kind of was actually valid and legit, after today. And so we're going to have to get obviously an offensive coordinator in here, and want to get them in here as soon as possible. And then, anytime there's a few guys that are going to go and apparently they're going to go with Chad to Temple and stuff. So it's going to create some movement. It's going to create some shuffling around a little bit, but it's also going to give us some opportunities to get some people in here that obviously that I know as well.
Do you know what kind of offensive system you want to run yet, or do you need to know about the talent you have first?
Well, I know the offensive system that I want to sit there and run, and it's going to be very favorable to what I've always been around. And I mean, you got to remember, I was at Stephenville for 20 years, so you can only imagine what we did there. And then I was in a very similar system when I went to the University of Tulsa, and then I was obviously in a very similar system when I went to TCU. And so it's going to be something obviously up those roads, and so we want to be very fast, and we want to be a tempo type team and stuff. But you also got to learn your team too. And the thing with high school that's different from college is in college you're recruiting, and in high school you're inheriting. So if you're a good coach, you have to adapt to what you have from year to year. And so if that means that we got to tweak things from time to time, then we'll tweak them. And but it's going to be the next couple months and stuff like that is going to be huge for us. Obviously, this Thursday is going to be a very big deal for us, and just want to get direction on where we're going, what we're doing, and that'll tell some things as well.
Coach, just looking at some current events, as you well know, Michigan won the national championship just a couple of weeks ago, and now Harbaugh's off to the NFL, but you were a part of a team that knocked off those Wolverines just a year ago in the semifinals of the playoff. Did you get a sense then that what they went and accomplished a year later was coming down the pipeline? And just your thoughts, having seen that program up close and personal, that a year later they were back and winning the title?
Well, and just knowing everybody that they had coming back, from the running back core to the quarterback and what they had up front, and then on the defensive side of the ball. And, it was a heck of a game between us and Michigan and the Fiesta Bowl in 22. So, you knew that they were always going to be in contention. And, again, that's a tradition-rich place that's always going to have a lot of 4- and 5-star players. And then Coach Harbaugh and his staff just did an amazing job. And then Sheree and those guys that, getting to take over now, he's an unbelievable coach, unbelievable dude, and feel quite certain he's going to take them right back to it again.
Joe, I have one more question about Midway, but first on the Big 12. They're about to add 4 new schools. The schedule's coming out tomorrow. You've been right there in the middle of it. Even with Texas and Oklahoma, a couple of alpha dogs and logos, they're leaving. And we saw what Texas did this year to the semifinals. How competitive, how deep actually is the conference? And is it sometimes underrated because of if, in fact, when Texas and Oklahoma leave?
Well, I think, with what we were able to do there at TCU, in year one that we were there in 22, and then what Texas was able to do, and then you just start talking about that, and Cincinnati's coming into to the Big 12. You got UCF who has claimed national championships and stuff before in the past, and so you bring that in, and then you get to do and see what Oklahoma State has been able to do, K-State, what they've been able to do. I think that league, the Big 12, is certainly one of the toughest ones. And with OU and UT leaving, I think it's bringing in a little bit more equity across the board, not necessarily from a play on the field standpoint, but from a recruiting standpoint.
Last thing, it is UL realignment on Thursday. Everyone knows what class they're in. That's changed over the last several years, but you don't know the district. Do you have any idea, and do you feel like it still might remain this midsection of the Central Texas area with Temple and other schools, Copper's Cove, a couple of Killeen schools? What do you have any idea? I know no one does. It's like it's the most kept secret in all of high school football or even in the country.
Well, I'm going to tell you, our government needs to sit there and mock what they're doing.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
And I really have no idea. I mean, I really don't. And I always always felt like I was talking to people that, when I was at Stephenville, that they made me feel like I was getting the inside scoop. And that, man, every single time realignment came out, it was as far to the other side of something that I couldn't even dream of what I've been told. And so I remember then I just finally kind of started going, I'm going to wait for that day to come. When that day comes, we're going to be prepared to be in a 18 district, 16 district. We're going to be prepared, for whatever it is. And if it's going to be an 18 district, then I got to have 3 non-district games. If it's going to be this, then I'm going to have 4 or 5, and just really prep that way. So honestly, I think this thing could go a lot of ways. I've been in that experience because when I was at Stephenville, we had gone to the Metroplex. We came down to the Syntax. Shucks, we were in there with Waco High, Waco U, Waco Midway, Catalina, and then San Angelo, Lakeview, Brownwood. And then, the next year we're going Mansfield Legacy, Mansfield Timberview, Arlington Seguin, all of that business. And then the next year we'll go after Big Spring and stuff like that. And so, or the next realignment. So, it just kind of had us all over the place. I think there's, with the classification and where Midway is and stuff, I think there's a lot of opportunities a lot of different directions that you could possibly go. Obviously, I've got my ones that make sense. I don't want to say them out loud because every time I say them out loud, it goes directly opposite of that.
Joe, I know it's been a busy few days. Congratulations on the opportunity. We look forward to working with you, and can't wait to talk to you again. We'll get you in studio for us to sit down and do an even more of an in-depth interview for people to watch and see. Thanks for your time today.
Likewise, my friend. I can't wait to do that.
Thank you.
Go Panthers.
Joe Gillespie, the head coach at Midway, longtime assistant coach at Stephenville on those last 2 of the 4 state titles they won. I think it was in the late 1990s, 98, 99. Then he took over, won one in 2000, I think, in 12. And then, of course, took the job at Tulsa when Philip Montgomery moved to Tulsa, and then was at TCU the last couple of years. He was gone after last year, but he was the defensive coordinator on that team that was awfully nasty on defense. Went to the semifinals and then beat Michigan. And